I think it's totally fine for people to want to look better. I know personally that's how my own health journey started, where I was, at the time, I was approaching food from such an unhealthy place, but it evolved into wanting to be genuinely healthy. Welcome to the Feel Great with Kate podcast, where you'll learn how to master your health to achieve more in life. I'm your host, Kaitlin Borncamp, a CPA turned nutritional therapy practitioner. Together, we'll be unpacking powerful forces that are shaping your daily habits, providing effective ways to account for your health with practical strategies, and uncovering powerful insights to why your metabolic health is the key to fuel your energy, longevity, and success. My mission is to help more high achievers like you stop trading your health for your wealth. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Feel Great with Kate podcast. I'm your host, Kaitlin Borncamp, and I have a guest with me here today. His name is Alex Jamal. Alex is a certified trainer. He works with people out of LA and has over 30 years of experience. He also has a bachelor's in sports and exercise science and works with both men and women, including celebrities and athletes. Alex himself is also a distinguished men's physique competitor and holds the position of the IFBB chairman for California. And for those of you who don't know, that's the bodybuilding federation that does a lot of the bodybuilding competitions. So, Alex, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be on your show.
What would you say, Alex, is, if you had to pinpoint it, what would you say is the number one predictor or indicator of a client that will have lasting results in their fitness transformation?
The client understanding why and the purpose of what they're doing.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is being really clear on their why.
Exactly. That's very important. So, for example, uh, the purpose from having a consultant or a trainer, yes, I get it. You want to, so many people need to be, they like accountability, like they like someone to show up every day. If I don't show up, they don't work out. But at a point, you have to be learning from this. You cannot be all the time depending on, oh, the trainer, the chef, the this, the that. And what's like you said, what's your why, right? So it's important to be learning. And that sometimes, I teach some trainers. The purpose from us as trainers is giving a great message of health and helping people understand purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the same thing in the clients I work with. So I'm curious too, Alex, when people come to you, what is the most common why that they tell you? Is it just simply to look better and get in shape and lean down and just like look as sexy as possible? Or is there a deeper why that most people ultimately have?
I want to say it differs, but it differs with individual goals because we have to. I talk to the client. Okay, so let's talk more about your goals. Of course, everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to look real, but the look is something, and the feeling is something, and what's inside happening can delay your results, and then people generally will be like, "Oh, I'm training with you 3 days. So why I'm not going to the go?" Well, everyone wants the Amazon Prime body, which is not gonna arrive. As I will tell them, first of all, that Amazon Prime mentality, you gotta leave it somewhere else. You're never gonna get any better in 1 month. It's everything you're starting. You have to give your body at least 3 weeks to understand, or even if you're on a diet, okay, now how you're feeling with it. Are you able to stick to the plan? So many, I want to say, they would like to lose weight because unfortunately, obesity is very high. And then I've decent amount of clients. They're more over 50, so they want to maintain a good health and they want to uh, always see their doctor with a smile. So they don't want to take more medicine or or even sometimes the doctor will say, hey, go hire a trainer and train with them and come see me in a year and then we're gonna run blood test again and or like bone density or all that things. So there's those two main things: the look and the health. So this is mainly. I get also a lot of young. guys that really want to build muscles. So because it's a man thing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that we need more strong men. We definitely need more strong young men as well.
We definitely need that.
Yeah, you probably heard the statistics around testosterone, where the rates of testosterone in men today are 50% of what they were 50 years ago. So it's a real problem. But I think what you shared is good. Like I think it's totally fine for people to want to look better. I know personally that's how my own health journey started, where I was at the time I was approaching food from such an unhealthy place, but it evolved into wanting to be genuinely healthy. So I think sometimes having that sense of dissatisfaction with how you look can be a good catalyst in order to drive someone to a healthier lifestyle. And then, just like you're saying, it's like the more consistent you are, the more you show up. You hire a coach, maybe you hire a fitness coach and a nutritionist, and then you have some people on your team. You really start to appreciate, oh, wow, lifting weights does improve bone density. Wow, being active does improve my blood work. It does help me have like good heart health to live a long time and be around for my kids and grandkids. So I think it pretty quickly, even if people start out for the vanity, it can be both. It can be both of the things. So I think that's really good. Let me ask you a couple of like specific fitness questions while I have you, Alex, because truth be told, so when I got into my fitness journey, I had a couple of friends be like, "Oh, Kaitlin, like, are you training to be in a competition to do something like, the fitness competitions?" And I knew initially from my own like history that it wasn't going to be healthy for me as a someone who had had a previous eating disorder. So competing was off the table for me. But I actually hired a personal trainer who I hired her to basically help me look like that. Like I just wanted to look like I was competing because everybody has beautiful bodies and everyone's so well toned and proportioned and everything like that. So when you're working with somebody, tell me about like are you trying to get them to look a certain way if they're competing, or are like does that change if they're competing, or if you're working with somebody just on general fitness, are you giving them a different fitness program?
Yeah. Well, definitely when your goal is look, I've generally I tell like I have a young athlete. I say, look, you cannot go in any of your contests, sorry, or even coming to my session with the mentality that I'm just gonna do a little. You have to always aim high. You always have to be like, okay, I'm in this. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna perform my best. Now, what the outcome is gonna be on the stage or it's to be determined. So that's when it comes to training someone. Always you have to work on their mind a lot, and definitely the diet is different because when you want to compete every week or every 2 weeks, things has to change and see how you do all this small details and where your muscle is, how is it going? Are you gonna be ready at that date with this plan? Uh, Sometimes we have to change the date of the contest. Like you're not gonna be ready. For example, you're not gonna be extra 2 pounds of muscle on that date. It doesn't look like it. But for the other, like to say average person or normal people, try to perform your best. Or even if I go train them, so we try to push it as much as possible, and in each set, be focused, connect your mind with your muscle, try to push. Uh, that's very important, and then the diet has to go with your training because uh, well, unfortunately, most people Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, or just whatever, they could be good, and then that's always in the with the beginners. I want to say they're
Yeah.
really good for and then the next week when I see them, oh, like okay, listen, put that week behind you. Just now, next time, don't repeat that because then I'm telling you, you're not gonna get to what you asked me for. Because they come to you like I'm sure that you, hey, Kathleen, we saw you speak. We hear good things about. Okay, then they put all the hope in you and
Mm.
or their and then they're thinking like, okay, just because I have Kaitlin, I'm gonna be looking like the one in the picture, right? So that's the expectation has to be understood.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Sometimes people come to a coach hoping that's the only catalyst that they need, but it's coaches are just that. They're catalyst for them to make their own changes. So that's really well said. On the topic of mind muscle connection, that was a huge missing link in my own fitness journey where I was doing CrossFit for several years and then I ended up doing basically a year straight of physical therapy, 6 months for my right knee and then 6 months for my right shoulder. Come to find out, I was
Wow.
just so I guess you would call it anterior dominant, right? Like front dominant in my quads, front dominant on the front of my shoulders, and I had very little strength in my hamstrings and in the back of my shoulders. So pretty much every workout, I'm focusing on that mind muscle connection. Like when I'm doing squats or lower body, I'm really focusing on my glutes and my hamstrings firing because I know that I basically have to counter my natural tendency, which is always quad dominancy or has been in the past. And same thing with my shoulders. From your perspective, Alex, as a trainer, what would you say are some of the top muscle or muscle groups that pretty much everyone undertrains?
They're back. Because everyone will think, oh, I want to look, they only see. But it's the opposite. The most important is your posterior chain muscles, which is what keep your posture good. Of course, strong core with your posterior, like keep your posture, keep your shoulder not hinge forward. You see a lot of guys. All have you heard guys or like, hey, I do this much of pull-ups and or lat pull down, they always say, I bench press this much.
Right.
I bench press that. I did I squat this much. But it's your glutes, it's your most of your back, right? Or your back muscles, the posterior chain, which is all that, and hamstrings. And don't forget to train your calves. It's a tough muscle, but it will grow. But weak calves can cause foot pain. And
Mm,
then foot pain, your feet are off, then that's gonna have knee problem, hip problem. They're all one line, right?
mhm.
One plane. So you have, and movement starts from the feet. So you have to, everything has to be balanced. And let me mention, pain is weakness. It's not weakness leaving body. No, pain comes from weakness. So look where wherever there's weakness, that's gonna cause other muscles to work, and then other muscles gonna start telling you, okay, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. Go check your asymmetry. Go check your posture. Go check which is weak. Then I'm right. So shins. People sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm having shins." Like, okay, because your feet is not. So everything is muscles are one chain, by the way. You
Yeah.
can't isolate muscle. I know now many will say, no, 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 no. You cannot isolate your muscles.
Yeah. No, I think that's well said on pain is weakness. That period. I like that approach because I mean that was my story. Like I mean CrossFit's probably not great on the joints to begin with, but it was even more so accentuated because I had such low or less strength rather in my posterior chain, which was my hamstrings and my back, just like you're saying. So, yeah, you're definitely speaking the truth there. The other thing I wanted to ask you about in relation to training is when it comes to training for competitions, Alex, what do you think is some of the most common misconceptions of competing for a fitness competition?
Unfortunately, using like illegal substances, thinking you need that so much. This is and sadly, a lot of women would use that. Just like it's I know many of your listeners would be women, but so many will, and that probably either. Uh, like lack of research from her side or her coach, or whether it's a man or they think they always want to, like, sometimes unfortunately coaches don't have enough belief in themselves and their clients, so they try to say, okay, last week we have to use this because you're gonna miss your peak, you can't do it.
Mm,
I'd say no. Keep working out, keep training until you feel you're ready. And then once you're ready, although so many people say, I will never feel ready, but I think you'd be close to ready. Like I say, you're 90% or 85%. Take that shot first time, because it's, don't worry about if you're gonna get that gold medal or not at the beginning. I'm talking about fitness competition because I train different athletes as well. You have to take the attempt. You have to be tested, and don't be scared. When I competed at the first Arnold Classic, which is, I was already a champion that time. I thought I'm gonna be at least like, I had so much self confidence. Well, okay, I stepped on that stage. The moment I saw whoever next to me, I knew it. I'm out. But you know what? I was like, okay, fine. Let me gain the experience.
Mhm.
So try to push, gain the experience, learn. Don't go right away to steroids. Now, if you want to be the professional, which is, that's on your end, then it's your choice to use
Yeah.
those.
I didn't think that that's what you were gonna say, I suppose. I hadn't really thought about the illegal drugs or steroids or whatnot for women. I feel like that's so much more associated for men to take, like taking testosterone or taking the steroids to bulk up. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a woman competing and you need more muscle, it serves as the same purpose. So,
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they even I mean, nowadays, like they even use many peptides, so they don't know what they're doing. So it's like, it's kind of funny for me. I find it because, I'm a very natural and all about good food and diet and supplements. But be careful because don't lose your life for, or like, don't have a long term side effect for just uh, getting one competition. It's not really
mhm.
worth it.
I like
Or
that
even
approach.
five competition. It doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
competed 10 years in my life. I enjoyed it. It made me very mentally strong. I wasn't always asking to get the World Cup for everything. Like I wasn't like, oh, I wanted. No, I want. There was a purpose in my head that I did it, and I learned so much that it made me grow my network. But I never risked my life for it.
Mm,
I never risked my life for it,
mhm.
because
Yeah.
there's life after competition, right?
Hopefully. Hopefully there is. That would be short-lived if there wasn't. But to your point, what I'm hearing is if you are gonna compete in a competition, I mean, or really this applies to any element of health, which is don't sell yourself short for short-term gain for a long-term medical issue or worse, like a serious complication that could come from that.
I
Um,
can give you examples of like professionals. I mean, look at Ronnie Coleman. Okay, he has a great name, but the guy, he barely can walk. Okay, was it really worth it? Like Frank Stallone, I train him, and I know Okay, so, and we trained Sylvester, but he told me, like, I regret so many things I did, and I didn't use a stunt, or like when we were shooting the family Stallone show, I had to do two push-ups. If you ask him, I think, and he said it on many interviews. It's like, don't be like me, don't overdo it, and be smart what you're doing. He's giving you an advice, right? Well, it's not worth it.
yeah,
That's
he's been
all.
there and done that, and he's telling us the truth. He's telling us what he found out, which is that it's not worth it to sacrifice that for sure. Yeah, I mean this gets into another element I find of health again, usually in fitness, which is that like what are we doing today in order to support our longer term health? My own viewpoint on that has shifted so much in the last 10 or 15 years. When I first found weightlifting again, it was in the realm of CrossFit, which is I would say also in the category of beating up your body for short-term gain, because sometimes the workouts can be intense. Depending on where you are, sometimes the form isn't supported as well as it should be for the type of like explosive movements and things you're doing. So there is a high risk for injury. But even beyond that, like I stopped doing CrossFit because I didn't have enough time to do all the mobility work that was required of it. At the time I was working 14 to 16 hours a day as a CPA. And so again, after that year of PT, I was like, well, crap, I guess I need to go back to the drawing board and actually go do some, more like solitary movements, meaning like at a gym, not at a CrossFit gym, but at a regular gym where I could actually isolate my posterior chain, do those back movements like you're talking about, And I have also evolved into really wanting to support more like true mobility. What do I want to be able to be mobile for in terms of joint health, like hip mobility, jumping, running, lunging, like all of those movements are so much more important to me now than the number on the scale. Or even, on my good days, my ability and mobility is more important to me than how I look in the mirror, which took me a long time to get to. So I'm curious, Alex, like what is your take on, that balance of again approaching fitness from like how you look versus how it enables you to do different things, and how do you apply that in your own fitness routine?
Definitely do not risk your flexibility, mobility on, like, do not do things that will limit your range of motion. Because, as we age, if you're not an active person, meaning if you don't also do, no, I'm active, just not like, so I walk, doing some the stretches, the mobility stuff, you're gonna get stiff and stiff and stiff. And that 75% of people have back problem. All right, because we're not, our lifestyle, unfortunately, is a lot of sitting. So, with that being said, you you have to balance your workout. You have to make time for mobility, flexibility. So some clients, I tell them, okay, let's just say they train with me 2 3 times a week. I say, okay, you do two, and then we say, oh, we do yoga. I say, great, keep the yoga. If you're not going to the studio, do it in your home. It's easy exercise.
Yeah, it's like the saying is true that if you don't use it, you lose it, which is definitely true for your range of motion and your joint, mobility. And what I love about what we're talking about here is that, like in your world in fitness, you see this so directly, which is that the body really does respond to the environment and stimulus that we give it. It's like you're able to see that when you are coaching someone, or even in your own experience, like training for a competition, you know exactly what you need to do to get somebody to look a certain way, like you said, to gain certain amount of muscle, or to beef up the shoulders, slim down the waist, like whatever that is. Or even for somebody else that you work with, you know from your experience, Alex, that if somebody does a certain amount of thing consistently for weeks and months at a time, they will improve muscle mass, they will improve bone density. And I know too that it also will improve metabolic health, it'll improve their blood work, it'll improve their heart, all the other good things that come from that. But what I wanted to take away and focus on in that statement was really the bone density piece, because I find that this is such a huge area right now that is under supported in our current lifestyle and in our current medical system. Like, I know that there's a couple sort of pop-up gyms, if you will. I wouldn't even call them a gym, that you can go to and get your bone density scanned. And I was, encouraging my own parents to do that a
Well, the
couple
DEXA
months ago.
scan is a bone density scan.
Yeah, so DEXA scan, but there's another one that you can do, and maybe you've seen this, Alex. It's like this place where you go, it's like OsteoStrong, I think is
Oh,
the
so
name of
yeah,
it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was
where you
gonna
go
say.
and you hold the different machines, and it like tests you and stuff like that. Um, but how have you seen one resistance training improve bone density? And talk to me about what you wish people in their 70s or 80s knew about resistance training.
I have a great example. I have a client, actually. She was 79. Now she's 81. Her doctor said, "Oh, you have bone density problem." And although she walks, I believe 4 times a week, 3 miles, and then she called me after a good referral to me. Okay, fine. So we worked out consistently for 6 months, and then after 6 months, she went to the doctor, and her bone density was better. And she's still my client, and I like training her. And tomorrow I have her. She's 81, and she knows how important it is. So she's been consistent. She always asks how she can always, like, for example, as we were talking about the mobility, she was asking me, how can I stay mobile? Oh, sometimes I'm getting out of my car, I feel it's hard. I said, we'll do a modified squat for her, like, keeps your joint mobile, keep you strong. So I highly recommend, especially women, because they, as you age, osteoporosis there, you have to do resistance training. Some doctors say only walking is fine, but I would combine both, because one will help the heart. So walking, resistance training, walking, resistance training. But start a little early. Don't wait till you're 80. Just say.
Don't wait until you're 80, and it's never too late to start. What are your thoughts, Alex, on a rebounder, a mini trampoline for helping as a form of resistance training?
As a form of resistance training, I mean, it could help. You could do it as long as your joint, yeah, like you're strong enough, right? I had uh, a lady. She was able to do jump ropes. Like she was able to do jump ropes, which is it's tough cardio.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great workout for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I was thinking about it, one, I have a mini trampoline that I love, a rebounder, and I've
Yeah.
been researching more about how it's an easier way to get some form of resistance training on your, like it's easier on your joints basically, because when you're at the bottom part of the jump, then all the force is coming onto your bones and makes you stronger, and also helps with blood flow and lymph movement. But yeah, it's like it's definitely a good combination still with
Yeah, swimming is
weight.
great too.
Okay, swimming. Oh,
Swimming.
because the resistance of the water?
Yeah, swimming is amazing. I mean, it's some of it's time consuming, but it's a great exercise. I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, good. Okay, a couple more things I definitely wanted to pick your brain on, Alex. So, let's talk about protein, because I feel like protein is becoming so talked about now, which is wonderful. Although I feel like it's kind of still misunderstood in terms of how much we should be consuming. So, in your opinion, what do you feel like is the best optimal protein intake, like the daily target that the average person who wants to look good and feel good should be eating on a daily basis?
Yeah, if you're not a very active person, I would say 1 gram per body weight is okay. Right.
Okay.
But if you are someone who's uh, active and you want your body to really you want to look lean, okay? Everyone wants to look lean, right? And looking lean meaning you have to eat clean and lean, and lean is lean protein. All right, we're not gonna be eating processed food, and you're gonna look lean. It's maybe you'll be like that when you're very young because your metabolism or movement is different. But you know, so with that being said, you have to eat 1.5 to if you're a man, I would say up to 2 grams a day is sorry per pound per body is
Wow.
okay. Yeah.
So you're telling me that if a man weighs, let's call it 175 pounds, you would and they want to be lean, they're in the gym 3 days a week, they want to train for
Three
resistance
days,
and
3 days a week is the minimum, by the way.
minimum.
Yeah.
So they weigh 175 pounds. Your recommendation to that guy would be to eat 2 times that in grams of protein. So what was that? 350 grams of protein in a day?
Like that's the maximum I want to
Yeah,
say.
that's a lot. That's on the high end for sure. So
Yeah, so, but it's okay. It's you gotta remember if that body needs calories. So if you're not gonna get clean calories, I call them, which is
what
some,
else are you gonna eat?
you're gonna have to eat somewhere something else. And now
Yeah,
you're eating something else. If it's not coming from good sources, then you don't want to eat extra carbohydrates. Extra carbohydrates gonna be fat.
right. Fat, extra
So
carbohydrates metabolize into fat on your body, exactly, which is the opposite of what we're going for. No, I think it brings up a really good point, and I loved that I'm surprised by your answer because my recommendation I typically follow for people is the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and even for most of the people I work with, that's a big reach. Like it takes us a while to get them there because they're totally under eating protein now. And as you may be familiar, the current dietary guideline is to eat half of that. The dietary guideline today is to eat 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight,
yeah,
which is
yeah, I know, I'm
half, more
familiar.
than half of that, right? So it's it's definitely interesting. But the point here that's really really important to focus on is that there's really no um I mean, you'd have to eat a lot of protein to get into a danger situation. Like there it's hard to eat too much
It's very
protein.
hard to get into a dangerous
Yeah,
situation with protein, but let me explain one thing I want to say is also yeah they've been like now maybe they're using more protein to sell, so just be careful what source of like you don't want a lot of soy protein for example because you never whatever you know where it's coming how man doesn't do well with that, so it's good that they have now oh protein is better for you or like we need that, but read the label, read what's happening, what's in that product you're eating, or like sometimes yeah, it's protein, it's high protein, but it's also high sugar.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yeah, what you're referring to is that there's a lot of products out on the market now that may be quote unquote high protein, but
like those
typically
yogurts, those
yeah, have you seen
chill,
the high
yeah.
protein Pop Tarts?
Oh yeah. Well, I have my own story about that. I was the
Yeah.
one. Actually, my business partner passed away, and him and I, we were the first founders of those pop.
Were you really?
Uh,
My
that's
only
that's
yeah,
okay.
it's a great
Yeah.
idea. I mean, it's great that we're getting more protein, but to your point, I mean, some I don't know which brand it was that you were involved with, but some of them now have so many processed sugars. They have the sugar alcohols, they have, the additives for the
Yeah, you have it all, and it's upset your stomach, and
yeah, exactly.
it's,
Exactly.
it's hard to damage yourself from a lot of protein. Like you have, there's a couple of studies like my friend Dr. Antonio and Dr. Douglas made from the ISSN for over 2 years on a high protein, and all individuals, men and women, were healthy, and even after the study, they were healthy, and they were taking actually more than 2 grams a day.
Wow.
And that study was like, it's not easy to make that long of a study and fund it, and I'm talking more than 2 years of eating high protein on a daily basis, really high, and not complaining that you can't eat. So whatever they get, it was the meals would only be protein, nothing else, to
Yeah.
meet that every day, right? Because they
Right.
have a goal on daily basis. So they turned out they all stayed healthy, kidneys were fine. Now we're not saying everyone should be doing this, but if you want to really be lean and stay lean, you need to prioritize protein, meaning each meal has to have a high protein. And a high protein is not 20 grams. A high protein is 40 grams, 50 grams. That's a high protein. But you can't say it's 20 grams of protein, say high protein, and that meal there's another 200 grams of carbohydrates, and the next meal is almost the same. You end up the day you're having triple amount of carbohydrate, and then you think, oh, protein got me fat. No, I don't think you're knowing what you're doing.
This is great. So if you want to be lean and sexy, eat 50 grams of protein per meal, right, Alex?
Yeah, I would say yes. 40,
40
50.
to start with 40 folks and see
That
where
is
that gets
40, yeah.
you. Yeah, start with 40. Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
say one answer for all, but just start with 40.
Yeah, exactly. Fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Okay. In your last response around soy, so being really mindful of quality of protein, that's a great point. So, a couple things to remind our listeners would be, some of the best quality protein you can get is grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken, pasture-raised eggs, high quality dairy, things like that. And limiting the soy. So, I would venture to guess, Alex, you're recommending for men, and I recommend this for women too, to limit the soy because soy in the body can mimic estrogen. Is that your reasoning as well?
Well, that's one. Like estrogen for women is not bad, but a lot of estrogen, like increasing estrogen in men, of course, you don't want that because, as we said, we need more, like we need good men. So, with that being said, like you need to be like they need to be careful of the sources of the food, like the sources of the soy, like if it's GMO, and it's not 100% organic, because, excuse me, there are a lot of sadly dishonest companies nowadays, so you never know what exactly is, and then there's other aspects that affect your estrogen as a man, if we're gonna say. So one plus one plus one, again, you're ending with some stuff that are affecting your hormones. On the long run, we're having problems with good testosterone with men, right? So, like young men having problem, you see young men accumulating fat very quickly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
which in large part, or in part at least, is because of the excess estrogen in them. So basically, if you want to have a high protein diet, limit the soy, limit the tofu, but also limit the protein powder. That's another common place I see the soy show up. Is that where you see it too?
well, if it's soy protein, yeah, but I see it in protein bars. So sometimes they combine. If you raid, they combine because it's cheap and they make more money from it. So they would put, for example, whey, but it would be whey plus soy plus something.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah,
Right? So
exactly.
you gotta be careful. So I recommend either if it's protein powder, you use egg protein or whey isolate.
Whey protein.
Some people were okay with whey concentrate as long as it's clean. Like I mean, there's no extra sugar in it, so that would be good. Because back in the days we only had whey concentrate. We didn't have whey isolate. I'm talking about like back in the days. So whey isolate is a little bit more expensive because of the process to make. But it comes with zero sugar and zero fat, no bloating because they take off the lactose from it, and it comes from a good source, like from milk. It doesn't hurt you at all. Shouldn't. If it's a good company and clean, you won't have any problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're having digestive problem from drinking whey isolate, listen to me carefully. That means your whey isolate is not really whey isolate. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
that's probably true. Another protein powder I like is beef isolate, where it's
Oh
made
yeah,
from the actual
I
meat
like
of the
that.
animal.
I like
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
more companies are coming out with that too. So those are
Well, there's good studies on beef isolate, so they're good.
yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about creatine, Alex. I know that, creatine has long been part of the fitness
Yeah,
industry, and I think it's been associated with,
I love how
men.
creatine now became so
Yeah,
famous.
it's been associated with men bulking up. I personally have been taking creatine for about 6 months to a year. I like it. And most recently, I think it's gotten new, on the headlines again because there's now been a cognitive benefit associated with taking a higher dose of like 10 to 20 grams a day. So tell me, are you a fan of creatine and how much do you
Mm.
typically suggest people start with?
I'm a fan of creatine, of course. I'm a big fan of creatine, but I'm not a fan of taking 20 grams a day. No, that creatine is actually is very important for the mind more than the muscle. Like not more, as important as the muscles. And women will need protein because they their body tend to preserve less protein. So creatine. So they need creatine. It helps also to for their brain. There's a study about that, and creatine itself is, I believe, right now. Many of my friends did the research, a bit, like Jeff Stout, I give him a shout out, and Douglas Coleman. I believe there's over 200 papers on creatine. Like just imagine, yeah, the moment you just put creatine research or studies, you have over 200, but it's a highly researched compound. It's very ingredients, very good. We need it on daily basis. Between, I would say, 5 grams constantly is always safe. But here's the thing: you can't put creatine in water and drink it; it doesn't get absorbed. So you have to either add it to your protein, because then the protein has a little bit of sugar, maybe 1 gram or half gram. It helps in the absorption. Or you have to put it with some sugars, a little bit of sugar, a little, or like honey and water, or like apple juice, because it needs to be in a different medium to be absorbed. Now, what's becoming famous is, for example, creatine gummies. But again, you gotta you gotta get it from a tested company, like third party tested company, because you also want to know, does it really have creatine, and if there's I don't like much gummies because sometimes they put bad gelatin in it and you don't want that. So but anyways, creatine is really a very proven ingredient that both men, women, even elderly or young students can benefit from it.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So, Alex, to kind of wrap us up here,
Yeah.
what would you say are a couple things that, if somebody wanted to get into better shape and improve their fitness, maybe look better in the meantime, what are one or two things that you'd recommend that they do?
First of all, be patient. Go into it with two things: being patient and doing it for you. Do it because you're doing this for you, for your own sanity, for your own health, and feeling good and getting strong and being pain free. Just focus on these. Every time you feel you want to quit, every time you feel oh, I'm tired. I want you know that you're doing it, so you won't be in pain, which is, for example, or be healthy, or that's and be consistent. Now, okay, doing 2 sessions a week better than doing nothing, but I prefer doing 3 sessions between 50 sessions, 50 minutes at least. If you could do four, that would be very good. You don't have to do exercise every day, and I mean, people who live in the East Coast, if it's cold, I get it. You could do body weight exercise. You could get two dumbbells or rubber bands inside your apartment.
Yeah, really good. Really good. Awesome, Alex. Well, where can people connect with you? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm really happy you had me on the show. Thank you so much. First, I'm on Instagram. I'm the trainer Alex. It's a verified account, and my website is fitnessresultscoach.com.
Fitnessresultscoach.com and Instagram, the trainer Alex. Perfect. Awesome, Alex. Well, thank you so much. It was a great
Thank you.
conversation, and I
Thank you.
hope everybody enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that the information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended to be medical advice. It should not be used to treat, diagnose, or cure any medical condition. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your health regimen or medications. Kaitlin Borncamp and Health Supply LLC, DBA Feel Great with Kate, disclaim any liability for outcomes resulting from the use of this content.